We're going to be keeping our eyes on Hurricane Ike all night, but there is political news to cover tonight as well, including the growing story of Governor Sarah Palin's involvement in the firing of Alaska's top public safety office, the story known as Troopergate. Today's developments include 13 subpoenas in this case, including one for Governor Palin's husband, Alaska's first dude, Todd Palin. Joining us now from Anchorage Live is Newsweek's Michael Isikoff. He's been reporting on this story. Thanks for joining us, Michael.
Good to be with you, Rachel.
So what happened today with these 13 subpoenas? Did we know that they were coming down today, and did we know that they would include one for the governor's husband?
We knew that subpoenas were coming. We didn't know that Todd Palin was on the list. That was the stunner. Steve Branchflower, the special counsel who's been hired by the legislature to investigate this matter, has been keeping his cards very close to his vest. But he did lay out some of his evidence today and explaining why Todd Palin was on the list. He said that in the depositions and testimony he's gathered to date, Todd Palin is a central character. He was driving a lot of the concerns about Trooper Wooten, had gone to Mr. Monaghan right when Monaghan takes over and presents him with a private investigator's report about Trooper Wooten, making allegations about him illegally shooting a moose without a permit, and questioning why he's still on the police force. So as Branchflower laid it out, he explained Todd Palin was a key figure. He needed to question him as part of this investigation.
Is part of what's being investigated whether or not Todd Palin was acting inappropriately as if he had official state powers, even though he is technically just a civilian who is married to the governor?
Well, that's clearly a subtext here. I mean, look, the actual charge for this investigation is very broad. It talks about whether there was wrongdoing involved in the firing of Walt Monaghan, the public safety commissioner. And the wrongdoing is not precisely defined what they're looking for. There's been suggestions that confidential personnel files may have been pulled in order to get rid of Trooper Wooten. Actually, one piece of new evidence that came out today is Branchflower said that he had uncovered evidence that that somebody from the governor's office had been putting pressure to have a workers' compensation claim that Trooper Wooten had filed be denied. And he had spoken to somebody who had worked on the workers' compensation claim and saying that that this person testified under oath that she had been called or had gotten information that she was to deny the Trooper Wooten's workers' compensation claim. All this may seem very obscure. The bottom line in all this is the question is, was Governor Palin and people around her, her husband, people working for her, using their public office to settle a private score? They clearly had it in for Trooper Wooten. They thought he was embroiled in this messy divorce with Sarah Palin's sister. And there is a bit of divorces can be nasty. This kind of back and forth is not that unusual. But when you add the power of the state, the power of the governor's office to influence events, and then on top of that, Governor Palin, when all this came up, denied that she or anybody from her administration had put exerted any pressure on this matter at all. And the mounting evidence is chipping away at the credibility of those statements, which is why I thought the comments that she made to Charlie Gibson tonight were so interesting. Rather than talking about the denials, she was basically going after Trooper Wooten, talking about what a terrible guy he was, which struck me as kind of unusual and different than the tack she was taking when this thing first broke.
Well, it seems to me that she's very focused now, and probably with the advice of the McCain campaign. We know that Steve Schmidt and other senior McCain campaign folks have been in Alaska with her these last few days. She must be, and they must be, very focused on the way this story plays nationally, not just the legalistic implications, not just the technical implications of who's going to get caught, what the findings are going to be of this investigation, but how it plays to a national audience. And that's why they're focusing, presumably, on Trooper Wooten being a bad guy, sort of making that case to the American people. What the American people have to decide is whether this is a character drama or whether this is something important about a politician who's about to ascend to a very, very high office in the land who has a problem with abuse of office, the abuse of power. And that's why the workers' compensation claim doesn't seem obscure to me, because if the problem is that her family needs to be protected from Trooper Wooten, him not getting a workers' compensation claim filled doesn't seem to have much to do with her protecting anybody from him. It seems more vindictive.
Right. Right, and just sort of adding on to that, what was so intriguing about this little rabbit trail in this is that Branchflower said that when he first called the head of the workers' compensation office, or at least the contractor who was handling it, the woman denied that there had been any pressure put on Wooten's workers' compensation claim. He then checked with other people in the governor's office, and they too denied that there had been any pressure. And then he gets a phone call on his tip line from the woman who actually handled the claim, and she said, I have some information for you. Pressure was put on this case. So there do seem to be some real contradictions in what people are saying. And, you know, look, it's the old Washington adage applied here to Alaska. It's often the cover-up that seems that is worse than the crime. I think what's at least raised today by Branchflower's presentation is that people had not been truthful with him. Now, I should add that the McCain people, working with allies in the legislature or in concert with the allies in the legislature, are making a concerted attack on this investigation. They're saying it's been politicized. There's real questions about whether these subpoenas will be honored at all, whether anybody will submit to them. There may be legal challenges from the Attorney General's office, which reports to Sarah Palin. So there is all the makings for quite a dust-up here as events move forward.
Michael Isikoff, investigative correspondent with Newsweek. I've never been happier in my life that you're in Alaska. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.